it's just irrelevant, once you get to that place. And another thing that I've noticed as well is that spirit of pride kind of goes away. I always had to point out, well, I did this, or, if it wasn't for me, this wouldn't have happened. Or, it was really self-centered. I wanted to get the glory for what I did. And now it's more like, okay, we did this together. Or it doesn't matter who did it. It's done. And it was done well. When you begin to rest in God's beauty and know who you are, you no longer have a sense of pride. There's a humility in Christ Jesus like no other. You gain this peace of, I did it for God's glory and His marvelous worth, and it's okay. Like, I don't have to be rewarded. Nobody has to see. I don't have to get any applause. He sees it. And I feel His love every day through everything that I do. It just makes it so much more worth it. Because even when people will give me accolades, it still didn't mean as much as God's. And the final, most important thing that I want to talk to you about today is that when you know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, you no longer have to be perfect. You no longer have to strive for perfection. Strive to be something that you will never be. You're okay with being who you are, knowing that you make mistakes. Just try to do your best. Perfection is the heaviest burden that I've ever carried in my whole entire life. Trying to prove that I was worth something, trying to prove that I had value, and just trying to do everything flawlessly so I could get other people's approval was like a way of life, and it was just exhausting. It was so exhausting. And if it didn't turn out the way I had wanted to turn out, I was a mess. And that was not God's intent for our life, for us to be perfect. He's perfect. He desires for us to be perfectly imperfect in all our ways. If we were perfect, we wouldn't need Him. Imperfection solidifies our relationship to the source. We need God to do everything that we do because He's perfect in all His ways and His understanding. Our knowledge is limited. We can never be perfect because we don't see the beginning from the end. We only see our little 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional picture of now, or we focus in the past and regret, and we're so stuck where we were that we have a problem getting to where we're supposed to be, and we get off track. So when I think of fearfully and wonderfully made as a concept of beauty, it's one of acceptance, one of appreciating who God has created us to be, one filled with unlimitless love that covers a multitude of sins. It's a beauty that brings us closer to God and His will for our lives. It brings us peace and hope for better tomorrows. It allows us to know that the pain of the past is just that, and not carry it forward into the future. It teaches us to value ourselves in all our imperfections. Perfectly imperfect is what I like to say. And most of all, it brings a love of self that soothes the soul and draws us closer to God and in reverence of His creation, us. So as you go forth this week, I want you to focus on who God says you are. Begin to unpack the lies that people have told you and said about you, about the external beauty of you, about the things that are not true about you. Begin to live in who God says you are. Focus on the things that you have accomplished. Take time to appreciate yourself and recognize your uniqueness, and know that God made you, for a special purpose and reason. You have destiny over your life, my friend, and greatness. God be with you. Until we meet again, be blessed.